Senior Report thanks Edmund Besch of Bristol Burgess Insurance Agency, 65 East Main Street, Westfield, for his generous grant to provide news to seniors. Funding is provided by a grant from New York State Senator Catherine M. Young, representing Western New York's 57th District with a local office in Olean. Funding for Senior Report is provided in part by a grant from Andrew Goodell, Assemblyman for the 150th District of the New York State Assembly. Dave Cass and Rick Newell provide funding on behalf of the Lakeview Hotel and Restaurant at the Docks, located on Water Street near the lake in Mayville. Senior Report with Reed Powers thanks Westfield's Schultz Chevy for a generous grant to inform seniors of important news. Over 50 years of service to Westfield by Chevrolet, Schultz Chevy across from the school. The physicians of Jamestown Primary Care are happy to sponsor the Senior Report. From the Access Channel 5 television studio in Mayville, it's Senior Report with Reed Powers. Senior Report is broadcast live throughout northern Chautauqua County on Saturday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. each week. Call in and share a thought, make a comment, ask a question, or simply wish someone a happy birthday on Chautauqua County's only live call-in senior program. Since 1995, Reed has been bringing viewers hundreds of interesting guests, informing the community on a variety of subjects. Here's the host of the show, Reed Powers.
And good morning. What a beautiful day it is, and I'm getting a haircut. There we go, thank you. What a beautiful day it is here in Chautauqua County, and I did get a haircut. You probably noticed I had my ears lowered a little bit for that. Since I go on a cruise and interview the captain and the guy in charge of all passenger services, who is the director of hotel. If you want to know somebody on a cruise ship, look up the director of hotel. He controls everything, excepting lifeboats in an emergency. And there are darn few emergencies when you figure the number of ships out there cruising around. We've got a great show for you. We've decided that one of the terrific seasons coming up is trout fishing, and Chautauqua County has a lot of very fine trout fishing, and so we've got a couple of pros here. One of them is a licensed guide for New York State, and the other one is a very, very accomplished fly tyer. Now, trout fishing does entail flies, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. In the meantime, have some fun, relax, and learn how to catch yourself a trout. If you just spend a few minutes in the morning up in the hills, beautiful area, beautiful time, nature, flowery smells, and toss a, you don't necessarily have to use a fly. Some of the old galoots like me, we cheat. We use what they call a garden hackle. A hackle is one of the flies, and it's a certain part of the fly. But the garden hackle is the worm. You stick a worm on a hook and sneak down, and you'll catch yourself a trout almost guaranteed in the morning. Okay, lots of goofy news going on. I'm sure you've been attending this. They have decided to implement the cuts, which are serious cuts to the poor and to the seniors and the middle class, but not the rich. They're not going to be bothered by this. The cuts are set up to, and they were set up over a year ago, knowing full well that they would go into effect. And now all the politicians will say, as they dance about, I couldn't do anything about it. It was automatic. Well, you voted to put it in, fella. That's the way it's going in Washington these days. And seniors Again, your income has been depreciated by almost 50% recently in the last 10 years, since Congress, in their greed, has refused to give seniors the COLA, the full COLA, on their Social Security. And many pensions also depend on the Social Security numbers. And they use their COLA numbers to phony numbers, the phony federal figures, to prove there's no inflation. So you're getting no inflation COLA, you're getting 1%. We got 1%, it's all been taken back this year, 1 and some change, because they automatically get it back by raising your Medicare. And at this point, you're getting 50%, you get 47 cents on the dollar on your Social Security because of the lack of the real COLA. For 10 years, it goes back. I mean, you're getting 2 cents if you go back far enough to when it was instituted in 1945, I think. Well, at any rate, maybe it was instituted in the early 40s, but whatever. Thank you, Roosevelt. So the Congress is up to their old games, and New York State is up to its games. Cuomo, who slipped a gun law through that is unconstitutional, and also unconstitutional in the state constitution, because there was no chance for the committees to approve it. At midnight, they were given the bill to vote. It's a 40-page bill, what Cuomo cooked up, which takes away your ammunition without a background check, which requires money and time and hassle. You can't even buy a box of 22s now in New York State without going through the background check and cutting your clips down to 7 shots. All the guns, all the pistols, all the Glocks, and most of them have more than 7. The Glock, I think, has 15 shots, and that's the commonest one. And incidentally, they didn't exempt the police. The clever people, middle of the night, no possibility of public knowing what was going on. They didn't give the 3-day mandatory public reaction time so that the public could talk to the people that represent them, their representatives in either the New York Senate or the New York House, or it's not the House, the New York Assembly. And incidentally, well, I won't go into that, but Cuomo is up to his old tricks. He has a new budget which has no new taxes, but lots of new fees. Oh, but they aren't a tax, just a fee. Well, if you want to drive a car, yeah, you have to pay the fee. You want to go to a park, pay the fee. You want to use any of the facilities of the state, pay the fee. And they raise the fees. So you're going to pay a lot more. Cuomo's no new taxes is just balderdash. On the county level, it's not much better. You know, they were trying to sell our county home for the seniors, the last resort of seniors who are broke and sick. And it's been in effect that we've had it for a century. And it used to be over in DeWittville, and they grew part of their crops. They called it the county farm then. Now they have the hospital, and they're trying to sell it to balance the budget. Well, New York State put in a law many years ago, or not New York State, but Chautauqua County. You can't sell it without a plurality vote, a more than 50%. No, it's got to be 60% or more to protect our assets from politicians who didn't care. Well, they voted on it, and it was voted down to sell it. So the people that run the county legislature, I guess, decided, let's throw that vote out. It didn't go the way we wanted. Yeah, just willy-nilly, out with a vote, and we'll take another vote. They took another vote this week, and they lost again. No sale. It's just too horrible to think of selling the county home, which gives real care to our senior citizens and has been in here we've had it for a century and more, and suddenly selling it out from under them. Well, they'll still be able to go. No, they won't, actually. One of the advantages of the county home is 80% of the people there are on Medicaid, which covers their costs. You can't get into a hospital run privately on Medicaid without a hassle. They only have a few beds. I think it's maybe 5 or 10%, something like that. And so these other seniors, tough on you, yeah. They'll wind up in hospitals at horrific cost to the state, I might add, eventually. Well, that did fail, and so they voted again on changing the rule. Instead of making it a 60%, they decided to make it a 50% vote. Well, these guys are getting as bad as Cuomo in the New York State and the Senate in the United States. Somebody ought to call your legislature and say, why did you can look it up online and see who voted against or for your senior home, and against or for changing the rules so they could sell anything when they had a tough budget spot, just sell out one of our assets. As a matter of fact, when that went down, guess what our county exec said? Well, let's sell the airport. They want to sell the Jamestown airport now. God, you got to be kidding, fellas. At any rate, check it out and give your own legislator business. I noticed Hammer in Westfield voted in favor of all these things. He wanted to sell the home, and then he wanted to change the rules, as did many legislators. Check your own legislator out. Enough said. There's too much going on there. It's just outrageous. I've got some good news. We have the senior crowd. We have the best clubs up here in Chautauqua County. Church clubs, town clubs, county clubs, village clubs, all kinds of wonderful clubs. And one of the best is the Mayville Senior Citizens. And a couple of wonderful people work very hard over there and have for years, especially Jean Kelsey. She has been there forever and done that place. President now is Joyce Ayers. And they always have a nice meeting, a fun meeting. They always bring their own, most clubs bring their own dish to pass. The main course is provided usually by the club itself. And you bring your own silverware and away you go. There's no hassle. They're having a couple of trips I just wanted to mention here. Gene Kelsey stated there'll be no more reservations for the trip March 12 to the Niagara Casino. And there are no seats available for other trips. May 31st, they're going to the Cambridge Springs and the Patsy Cline Show. July 27th, Hidden Valley Animal Adventure. October 7th, a trip to the Ohio Amish country. These trips are cheap, they're fun, and they have great people with them, and you can't go wrong. When you go to the casino, they give you enough chips to play and dinner. So it'll cost you $25 or $15, whatever you wind up with $25. Don't keep gambling. If you win, run. If you lose, run. Because the only thing that, the only people who make money in casinos are the owners. You know that. On March 7th at noon, they're having a big program over there. And they meet at the Mayville VFW. And the entertainment will be a Hootenanny by John, Doc Hamill, and Bill Drillo. I had trouble remembering that. They're going to do a lot of songs, and they'll do requests and have a generally great time. There's a great bunch. We had them on the air here for a full program one time. Oh boy, was it fun! They specialize in Irish music, but they do anything. Brockton, Portland, over there. President Margaret Jagoda. Call her if you want to join up. Get involved. They had some decorated boxes for candies, and Chris Anderson and Sandy Algren from the Heritage Ministries in Jamestown were guest speakers, and their program is a new view on aging, which gives suggestions for better thought processes and keeping active and vital. And the best thing to remember is to carry a little reminder. You just talk into it and you just keep it in your pocket. Don't forget the milk. They have a Marmaduke fun over there. You know, Marmaduke, the guy who developed it, the Marmaduke, lived there. He was also over in Ripley. Brad Anderson. And they got some dough up, and they're trying to put the arch up, and they have a bicentennial coming, and they'll have the arch up hopefully by then. You know that big arch in the middle of town, right in the middle of town, over there in Brockton. Sent a get-well card to Bill Norris, incidentally. All right, now I have a couple of other notes here. They're telling me you better move it along. You're running out of time. Okay. Bring a dish and tureen when you go over there, and have a great time. Grape Belt Seniors. The Grape Belt Seniors have a regular exercise class Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 after the one-week break routine. Following Monday's class and coffee hour, potluck Luncheon, like most clubs, is usually given to you. And there's also somebody to help you out if you need some help. They have Knitters Club, too. Can you imagine that? Knitters and crocheting. They have a yoga class. And next, they love yoga over there. Hey, David Wendt gave a PowerPoint presentation on the upcoming trip to Lancaster. A lot of tours. That's the best reason to join a senior club. Great tours, very cheap, dirt cheap, and a lot of fun. They want to go to the Broadway Market, and so they're going on Thursday, March 21st. If you want to leave, go with them. Jump on their bus. They usually will take you. Call 672-5274 for your reservation, lunch selection, or stop in the center to sign up. Again, you'll get your $25 worth of stuff at the casino. Lakeshore seniors, they meet over at the Dunkirk Center. They have a beautiful center, old school. And boy, oh boy, time is passing. I better move it, huh? March 6th is our next meeting. Drop around. I think I'll have to skip some. I'm sorry, guys. Some people don't get in here. March 7th is the next meeting right here in Mayville, incidentally. Bring your own stuff and have fun. All right, Silver Creek seniors. Well, there are two clubs over there. One is the regular seniors, and they have a new ornamental cross, which was given to them by Ed Newman's class. Came from an old senior center, at the old senior center. And Ed Newman is the president, and he does a nice job over there. They're going to give, though they had a public inspection of the building. You know, they own their own building over there in Silver Creek. Sinclairville, 76ers, they have their own song. I got to have them come over and sing it. They do a Meals on Wheels job. Yeah, they deliver the meals for that area. And they cook them up over at the fire hall and get them cranking. They serve the Cassadaga Valley area. And they actually have been going, Meals on Wheels has been going since 1976. How about that? They're delivered to the Sinclairville area, surrounding communities on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And you can call if you want somebody, you know somebody's sort of housebound and needs some help. The number, write it down, 962-3455. Enough. Signing off. They said you cannot do any more news. Okay. I get my little message through my ear thing. See, I can't even see it, but that's pretty clever. All right. Coming up, I've got a public service announcement for you, and this is just for you.
Being a gold medalist skier requires a lot of hard work, intense training, and time outside on the mountain. But taking care of my skin is easy and doesn't affect my performance. Every day I apply sunscreen and wear protective gear. I know protecting my skin will help prevent skin cancer and avoid wrinkles. I get my skin checked regularly by a dermatologist. 1 in 5 Americans will develop some form of skin cancer in their lifetime. My name is Julia Mancuso and I'm wearing orange to help put a spotlight on skin cancer.
There we go. I got a guy here who shoots from the hip. John Hamels. Doc, you're on, Doc.
Good morning, Reed, and good morning to our guests, and good morning, everybody in Chautauqua County. Well, Reed, you know, March is my favorite month of the year. Do you know why?
St. Patty's Day.
That's right. You see that?
Me too.
Me too. That's
Powers
right.
in Ireland is like Smith here, or
True,
Jones.
True. And, you know, I did check that out, and Powers is down in our area where my family's from, so we're probably neighbors.
I'm probably at one point or the other.
Way back. Well, anyways, but you're right. Coming up this Thursday, March 7th, we're going to be at the VFW with the Mayville Seniors. Looking forward to it. We're going to be doing an Irish program. Reed, today I wanted to share with you a few things and our viewers that, remember last week we talked about how you took care of a bully.
Yes.
It was something that
I suggested if all else
don't try
fails,
this at home.
all else fails, don't consider offing yourself, but here's what you do. You go up to the bully, and when he isn't looking at you, you tap him on the shoulder, he'll turn around, and then you just haul off and you sock him in the nose or the neck as hard as you can, push him over, jump on him, and then bite him. Big bite. Best place is right in the neck. And then while you're biting, growling a lot helps too. You know? He will never want to have anything to do with you. He will tell all his buddies, stay away from that guy. He is cuckoo.
Imagine that, folks. Imagine someone would say that about you as a kid.
Well,
don't try this at home, kids.
I don't recommend this.
No.
But it would work, I think.
When all else fails, I suppose. But anyways,
Yeah.
I want to show you something else that we did last week, and we got a photo here that we're going to pop up in a second. But we got together, a bunch of us. There we are. Okay, that's our Westfield Mayville Rotary Club, the Westfield YWCA, the Rotaract, which is the college version of Rotary. They're in the red shirts up front. And then the Interact Club from right here in Mayville. It's a high school version of Rotary. We all stood together and said, enough. We're taking a stand. Anybody in that picture, you can call any one of us at any time, and if you're getting bullied, you contact us, and we'll give you some help. Now, the reason why I point this picture out is if you go to your Facebook accounts, please do this. Type in under a search, Westfield Mayville Rotary, and our site will pop up. That photo will show up, and if you would hit the like button and share button, right now, we've got over 93 shares, which you might say, what does that all mean? Well, if the average person has 200 people in their Facebook, Randy, how many people in your Facebook? 2. me and your, no, really. Well, anyways, most of the people I've seen have about 200 friends in their Facebooks. At 93 shares, we've hit around 18,000 people right now, and we just got started in a week. Our goal, of course, is 1 million hits or shares or whatever just to get this around the world. But this is a big problem. Now, I want to tell you a little story. We were talking about politics. I said I was going to talk about politics today. You probably don't know or remember this, but I think it was in 2001, I ran for county legislator. Did you know that?
You were severely beaten.
Well, I was going to mention that part, but there's a good reason why that happened. And this is the story I want to tell you about politics and me. I've held 2 public offices. I was a school board member, and I'm a fire commissioner. So I ran for this other one, and as Reed points out very clearly, I was defeated. And oh well. But I get a call from my mom the next day, and she says, I understand you lost. I go, yeah. She says, well, I prayed last night. And I go, well, how good that did. And she says, I prayed to St. Jude that you would lose. And I said, how could I even hope to win if my mom is got God and St. Jude against me? Well, anyways, I said, why would you vote against, or why would you pray that I would lose? And she said, because I know you, John. And she said, you would get into the county legislature, and you are a man of your independent thinker. And she says, I was just so afraid you were going to get in all kinds of trouble. And I thought, well, what would happen if I was on the county legislature right now? I'd be in a lot of trouble.
Well, I wish you were, though, because we have the highest taxes in the United States now as a county, and they're planning to raise them another 20%, according to Crosscut.
Right. Well, anyways, the point is that this is a very difficult situation politically, and the only thing I wanted to talk about today, and it's just a couple sentences, Reed, is collateral damage that's going on right now at all levels of government. Let's take the county. They tried to do, as you said, this move to change the supermajority vote. Not a really good idea. That really is just frustrating everybody. And think about those poor folks at the home right now, the county home, how the collateral damage being their nerves and their sense of well-being. So I feel bad for them. It's like, let's move along, do something else, fix it, whatever, but stop torturing these people. State level, Cuomo and his law. I'm a fisherman and a lover. I'm not a hunter, Reed. All right, so I'm really looking forward to today's show. But, the law really is not a very good law. And look at it, thousands of people are going to Albany. People are all up in arms. I understand we got to talk about this issue, but boy, lots of problems there. And of course, at the federal level, the collateral damage being lots of people just got pink slip today. What's that all about? We're trying to fight unemployment, and now we just put thousands of people out on unemployment. I don't get it, Reed. Back to you.
Thank you. And remember, growl viciously when you bite. Thank you, John. Very well said. We've got 2 very distinguished fishermen here. We've got Art Estus and Barry Eckwahl, and you guys are going to tell us a little bit about trout fishing. And right now, Art is the guy in the end here. He is tying a fly. Yeah. And one of the fun things about trout fishing is the flies. And some people go all the way. They tie their own. And if you take a fly rod, it's a long rod, it has a whip to it, and you snap it back and create sort of a U facing backwards, and then you flick it forward, the fly will drop down on the water just as though he lit. If you have a long, what they call leader, it's invisible. And the trout will snap it down. And so the trick is to make luscious looking flies. Okay, I wanted to talk to you guys. First of all, where are you from?
Beams Point.
Beams Point?
Yeah.
All your life?
I live in Maple Springs right now, but I was born and raised in Beams Point, so not too far. Yeah, I've always been close to Chautauqua Lake, and
sure.
You know, pretty much fished all my life. I guess I started trout fishing when I was around 16 when my grandfather got my first fly rod for me, and as we say, the rest is history. So
right. Well, those fly rods are they're no joke. They some of them are split bamboo, and they cost thousands of dollars.
Oh, they do now.
Kidding around. I had one once, and unfortunately I broke it. But it was I used to fly fish, and I stopped because I'm getting too old for this. I've graduated to the garden hackle, the worm. And it's easy to catch trout on a worm. You just drop it. The one thing about trout fishing, you got to be sneaky, right?
Yeah, you do. You got to be a little bit stealthful, especially around here. You know, the trout streams are a little bit smaller and brushy, so you got to sneak through the brush. And if you want to use a worm, you got to, flip your worm out there and let it drift downstream to the trout.
Yeah, you flip it way upstream a little ways and let it drift down.
Exactly.
And you've got to hide the hook very carefully, and you've got to have a very fine, almost invisible leader on it, because they are very smart fish. They can see you, they can hear you, and they can feel you. Because if you're walking along the bank, there's certain vibrations that go out, and they're not easy to catch, excepting the way my cousin Ernie told me to do it one day. You know, he said, "We're going fishing," and I said, "Oh, great, great, that sounds like fun." And he said, "Bring a sledgehammer." I said, "What? A sledgehammer?" So he walked up to the stream where the trout were, and we knew there were trout in there. We'd seen them. Slammed the sledgehammer onto a shelf, and a whole bunch of fish just rose out of the water up to the top of the water, including a couple of trout. And it works like a charm. I'm not sure it's approved by the Department of
I
Environmental.
doubt it. Yeah, I don't think that would be approved.
It does work though, right?
That would be a harassment of the fish, and I know that's
well, you're eating them.
That's
super harassment.
Yeah, exactly.
They're delicious fish, aren't they?
Trout, wild trout are good. I don't eat a lot of trout. I'm a catch and release guy. I don't have anything against people that keep a few
catch
fish.
them and release? What do you mean? You just let them go again?
Yeah, let somebody else catch them the next day.
Well, don't you eat them?
Not too many of them, no.
Well, how about that?
Yeah.
Okay, catch and release.
That's pretty popular these days, Reed, especially with fly fishermen.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's kind of tough to do with a deer when you shoot it, but trout, you can do that. Enjoy the sport.
Well, actually, I love to trade the deer off for regular beef.
See?
Okay, so they're stealthy. You got to be stealthy. They're sneaky, and you're not going to catch them if you're careless. If they know you're there, they ain't going to bite on nothing. They're not. I don't care.
It doesn't matter if it's a fly or a worm or a minnow.
They just clam up, and that's the end of that.
Yeah.
They won't eat until the next day. They're easy to bring in. There are quite a few up in the hills, right?
Oh yeah, Chautauqua County. Actually, if you're a little bit ambitious and want to walk off the beaten path a little bit, there's a lot of good trout fishing. You start in North County around Cattaraugus Creek. Some of the tributaries there would hold trout. If you work your way down this way, Arkwright area, there's trout in those streams around Arkwright, and then over in Sinclairville, Hamlet, South Dayton. There's
Chautauqua Creek up in the
Chautauqua
hills.
Creek right down the road here, up in the hills, all the way down to the lake.
Yeah.
There's trout fishing, and then you go towards Jamestown. Goose Creek is very popular for trout fishing. They still stock Goose Creek.
They stop most of the state, haven't they?
they stopped.
They've taken all the money from the fishing licenses, which would go towards stocking, and giving it to welfare down in New York City. That's what they've done.
I don't know if they hand it to welfare, but it goes somewhere. That's
You
for
better
sure.
believe it.
Yeah.
Art is tying a tie here. If you haven't tying a fly, if you haven't noticed, this is how it happens. You have well, tell us, what are you doing there, Art?
Oh, I'm using a hook. I plunk it into a vise, and I find proper materials.
What kind of proper material is that? Look, a bird
This
feather.
is something I got from Sally Hans, or Joanne Fabrics, part of it is. And then this is a rabbit strip, using different size thread. And can you see this?
Yeah.
And you end up with something like this.
Oh, that's a fly, ready to go.
Yeah.
Oh,
This
what's
probably,
what's it represent, or what resemble?
it'd be a dead or near dead minnow, I believe. Is what.
Okay, and they think it's a minnow.
Well, this is common food for every fish. Every fish that I encountered is cannibal in a way, so he's going to eat anything out there that swims around. He'll even eat their babies.
Oh my goodness! Huh?
All fish will.
That's a pretty bird. It looks like bird, but that's a rabbit, huh?
Yeah, this fly in itself was developed by a fellow named Jeff Blood, and he's a guide on
What's he
Lake
call
Erie.
it?
So
What's he call it?
this is called a sudden death.
Sudden death for the trout.
White death. Yeah. Well, in a way, yeah. But it is an attractor. This works in Stockwell Lake, great for perch. It'll work for trout in the stream.
How long does it take you to tie it?
I'm slower than a lot of people are, but I don't know, I could probably minute and a half, 2 minutes if I wanted.
Just like that. And what do the ties cost normally? I mean, what would
Flies?
that cost?
Oh,
The
this
flies, yeah.
This one probably in a dealer probably $1.50, $2 minimum.
So you say, now I see you have a whole bunch of other ones there.
Yeah, I can.
And this is how you catch trout, guys. You just flick one of these out, and they'll snap it down.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I want to hold the box up so we can see it. All right, just hold that box right up. There you
Get a
go.
good
Now,
close in on
now
that.
we can see the array of flies you have there. Oh, aren't they pretty, some of them? And most of them resemble bugs, of course.
Trout, just like any other fish, likes red. Not
They
a
do.
lot of it.
Like
But this-
hummingbirds.
Yeah,
They
quite.
must be
yeah.
related.
They do like a little dash of red in them. It seems
Okay.
like I've had most success, something with a little bit of red.
Ah.
So a lot of my flies have red on them.
Have you caught trout on any of those?
Oh yeah, these styles like this, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Not on these particularly, but I keep.
Those are still virgin.
Yeah, they still are. Hopefully I'm going to change that shortly. Here we got a few more days, a few more weeks.
What is April 1st?
April 1st, yeah.
April Fool's Day, and it's open trout, and you can go out. And when can you fish? All day long?
All
at
day
night?
long, 24/7.
You go out at night if you want to.
Yeah.
And there's two kinds
There's
of
some
trout.
streams that you got to
Oh,
check on.
I know, they have all kinds of crazy laws. You've got to be a lawyer to figure out the fish and game laws in New York State.
Well, probably-
Different laws for different streams and different fish, and ducks, the same thing. Oh, my God.
Well, that's federal.
Try to figure it out. Okay, we got two guys here talking about this stuff, Art Estus and Barry Eckwahl, and they are fishermen, trout fishermen, and they are, right now, as you notice, Art is doing the honors by tying flies for us, and we've got Barry talking about the fishing and the fun part about the fishing. How do you prepare a trout? What do you do? Do you scale them, little trout?
Oh, no, I would, actually, the trout that I eat, I would pretty much have them smoked. So I just cut the fillet off, smoke it, and then the skin would peel off after after it was smoked.
Yeah, well,
So-
a lot of people don't know it, but the salmon is a big trout, just a huge trout.
Yeah.
And the whitefish they smoke down in Barcelona.
Barcelona, yeah.
is a trout.
Well, yeah, I guess
Yeah.
a lot of people consider that.
It's a trout family fish.
But a big part of trout fishing in Chautauqua County now is the steelhead. Now, steelhead is a rainbow, a strain of rainbow trout that lives in the lake, and then it comes upstream to spawn.
It has red flesh, just like the salmon, right?
Well, it depends. No, not really.
Not really?
It would be a little bit lighter colored flesh. Yeah.
Okay.
But the steelhead's probably one of the most popular trout to fish right now in Chautauqua County. You can fish.
Where do you get them?
You can fish in Cattaraugus Creek, Canadaway Creek, Chautauqua Creek, Silver Creek.
Dunkirk Harbor.
Dunkirk Harbor, they come in there. So actually it's probably one of the bigger fishing money makers right now.
It's a big fish too,
It's an
right?
industry.
Yeah, they get real big. I mean, you get them, I'd say an average steelhead is around 24, 25 inches up to, 30 to 35 inches. And you're catching them in a small stream, so it's very sporting.
Yeah.
And this is actually the fly that Art's tying is, one of our favorite flies
Very effective fly?
for steelhead. Yeah. The state stock steelhead, they return back to that stream usually in September, and they'll stay in the stream, go back out in the lake. So the steelhead season will last from September until around here the middle of April. So it coincides with the regular trout season, but steelhead has its own separate.
Okay.
There's not a season.
Okay, great.
So you can
Round
fish
the
them.
clock.
You can fish them today if you wanted to.
Well, I might just do that
I
today.
had some friends out there today, but I told them it's too cold for me.
Okay, well, a great smoked, I might add. That's the only way
Yes.
to prepare them.
Yeah,
Wow.
I agree.
Got a couple of calls. You want to take a call?
Sure.
Okay, let's interrupt there. Good morning, caller. Thank you for waiting.
Good morning. Thank you. We, a couple of us have been sitting here watching your show. We have a little debate going on one issue, and then I have a question. Do trout have scales? Because it appears some don't.
Yes, they do. They're very small, but they do have scales.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I lost that bet. The second question I have is sometimes people will catch the larger trout and they're tagged. Tagged. What would you do if you get the tagged fish?
Well, I think if they're tagged by a state or federal agency, and usually there's some number on that tag, and you probably can go to the state website and they'll tell you what to do with that, or you can call a DEC, a game warden, and they can, they can direct you what to do with that tag.
But it's okay to catch it though.
Oh, sure, absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How can
Thank
you
you very
not
much.
catch? How can you tell?
Yeah, that's right.
You're going to
Well-
go under with a snorkel to check if he has a tag?
I think they would prefer, I think they sort of like you to catch them because they want to know, they're following their movements from where they tagged them to, where you caught them. So it's, sort of an ongoing study with tagged fish.
Okay, thank you, caller. I hope that answers the question. And remember, as you noted a second ago, you could call in any time during the show and ask a question, make a comment, advertise your favorite club, or say hello to your mother-in-law, whatever you want to do. And the number is 753-JACK, like jack your phone in, or 753-5225. We're always on the phone with you between 9 and 10 o'clock, and it's your time, your magic carpet into the universe. We got Art and Barry here with us talking trout. Okay, go ahead. You want to say something, Art?
I just wanted to tell people that I'm part of a group that meets on Monday nights in the library in Sinclairville. We're called Country Kids on the Fly.
Okay.
You're welcome to join us. Once in a while, our website, that's our website, is Country Kids on the Fly. Take a look at it. But mainly what we're doing is, right now we're tying flies and trying to educate youngsters, or at least show them how to tie flies. We have lots of materials and equipment there that,
It looks like a fun hobby that's very inexpensive, really.
well, I can't say that fly tying or fly fishing is inexpensive, but in that there's costs involved. Right now at the library, youngsters can show up and we'll give them all the benefits of our materials and products and for nothing. Sometimes when the adults show up, we occasionally pass the hat because there is a cost in our materials and maintaining what we do there.
What's the major cost?
There's materials that we do buy.
Somebody told me fly tyers appreciate bird feathers.
Yeah, oh yeah, we proper bird feathers. I don't want anything illegal.
Of course. Oh, well, it's funny that you probably
Heron,
heard of,
blue heron and stuff.
the craziness of our Congress, which passed not too long ago a new law. If you have one feather, no matter how big or small, of an American eagle, like your kids go pick some feathers up on the beach down in Barcelona where they're all over the place, you will go to jail for a year and there's a $100,000 fine. You believe that?
Of course.
How do you tell what an American eagle feather is, for God's sake?
I don't understand it, but I do believe it. Yes.
Yes, I believe it too. It's craziness.
So
All right,
if
go
you're
ahead.
out there looking fly tying material, use caution in that department. You can generally buy stuff. So, and again, you're all welcome to come to our classes on Monday nights.
Okay, there
and
you
we'll
go.
help you out.
There you go. And if follow-up is if you have an enemy, just send them an eagle feather and blow them off. Call the authorities. A lot of fun. Talking about birds and feathers and things and rabbit fur and all kinds of other things. What else do you use besides feathers and rabbit fur?
Any kind of furs. There's deer, elk, fox.
Oh, yeah?
The other day, a fellow brought in some coyote tail, and we tied up some flies using that. And we're using, and they're proportional. You got to use particular size hooks for different fish. You're going to use dry flies. Are going to be a lighter hook and a smaller hook that will float on top, because depending on the materials you're using, you're going to want to catch these rising trout that come up. There's quite a thrill watching the trout come up to this little thing floating down the water. If you can see them come up, and it's exciting just to watch.
Especially if you've tied it, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, and there's a wet fly. These are dry flies we were talking about now.
Yeah.
A wet fly is different. You don't drop it onto the water, but what do?
You cast it out into the stream and drag it along.
It sinks, though, doesn't it?
You may need to help it sink. You'll add split shot or something sometimes, or sometimes you can build it into the fly. Use caution if you're going to the reservation, the Seneca Reservation, because they will arrest you if you have lead on your line.
And why is that? Because it's poisonous to birds or fish or whatever?
I don't know, but just read the regulations if you do fish there. So
you got to use steel shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it's the same with duck hunting. You can't use lead shot anymore.
Right.
You've got to buy special ammunition with steel pellets in it for your shotgun.
Yeah.
All right, we're talking about flies and fishing. There used to be a law that you had to release a trout under 10 inches. They changed that law, didn't they?
I think they're still, I'm not even, you know what, I'm not sure what the exact New York State law is as far as small, like the regular brown trout and that, but it's smaller now.
Well, last I heard, there was no limit. You could keep a minnow-sized one because they found out that in just touching that fish, you killed it.
Exactly.
If you removed a little mucus, it would infect and they would die. So they might as well let you keep it no matter what size it is, because it's going to die.
Yeah. Well, that's true. You know, people that do release fish, we try to handle them with, with a kid's glove, keeps your hands wet, keep the fish in the water. Try to just use a little tool to pop the hook out so you don't have to touch the fish physically.
Yeah, well, if that's your business, you really know what you're doing.
Well,
of course,
I'm
not sure the average fisherman is quite that responsible or knowledgeable. However, you can catch some mammoth fish. We were talking about that lake trout coming in. Phew!
Yeah, the steelhead.
Yeah, I've seen them as long as 3 feet.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, one of my friends gets them.
In the fall, we go up along Lake Ontario and we'll fly fish for salmon. So that's always great sport too.
Yeah, again another trout, but bigger generally. We're talking about the smaller creek trout here for the most part.
You want to focus on that in Chautauqua County, I'm sure. Yeah. So they're out here.
Oh yeah, you can go over to Ellington, Clear Creek, around the old ski resort there. That stream's good for trout fishing still. The Clear Creek that comes out of, or Mill Creek out of Sinclairville's still good fishing. But again, you have to get off the beaten path a little bit and walk out in the woods, which is not a bad thing, especially early in the spring. Get you a little bit revitalized after the long winter.
Reunite you with the universe. Maybe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Enjoy the flowers and the trees, and maybe even catch a fish. That's
well, the fish come in the fall to reproduce. They move up the creek from the Lake Erie. And any creek that goes into Lake Erie is a hot spot for fish in the fall, especially big ones.
Yes.
The steelhead.
It's pretty amazing because they have such a good growth rate in Lake Erie. The size that they actually get in a short period of time, you're talking about a 3-year-old, 4-year-old fish that'll weigh, 7, 8, 10 pounds. That's pretty amazing.
And if you cut it up into steaks and put it in your smoker,
There you
it's
go.
going to blow your mind.
That's
Well,
right.
brown trout will come in with these steelhead. They're not the numbers.
And
but-
salmon, too, I might add.
Oh, occasionally a salmon, not a lake area. Not many, though. But incidentally, I know we're talking Chautauqua County, but those that have a desire, I mean, it just over the state line to the south of us, that's Pennsylvania.
You'd get them over there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this
Well,
close.
of course. Trout don't know
they don't know state
boundaries,
lines.
do they?
No, and there's a lot of great fishing just over the border from us. here.
Okay. Well, I find right down in Barcelona, nearby, there's a moose.
Moose lodge.
A moose. No, there's a moose property, a beach, and it belongs to Westfield Moose. But there's a creek that goes through it, which anybody can use. It's a state
Chautauqua.
land, and the Chautauqua Creek, and there is a hot spot for
Yes.
fish in the fall. I've seen them pulled out of there, and I've eaten one. Good morning, caller. Thank you for waiting.
Yes.
Yeah, what's up?
I have a question for the caller.
Sure, go ahead.
Well, first of all, you got a beautiful fishing village out there this morning on the lake. There's about 16 huts out there.
Oh, the lake is really that frozen, huh?
Yeah.
You're talking Chautauqua Lake, of course.
Yeah.
Well, great.
I have a question. What kind of fish do you mostly fish for when you're doing ice fishing?
Well, I think what they're fishing for, that group of huts, would be perch this time of year. And then the guys out farther in the deeper water are trying to catch a few walleyes. So I think that's the main prey right now in Chautauqua Lake, is either perch or walleyes, and maybe some panfish.
So you're not
sunfish.
going to get any trout.
No, not in Chautauqua Lake. There are a few trout, and you hear, once or twice a year somebody catching a trout in Chautauqua Lake, but it's not, it's certainly not known for trout fishing. So, but there are trout in the tributaries to Chautauqua Lake, obviously.
Well, when I grew up in the 60s, man, you could catch a good bass or a muskie out there.
They're being caught today.
Yeah, but not as big as they were back then.
Well, the muskies are actually hatched at Pendergast Point now, a lot of them.
Yes.
And they are released when they're a little bit bigger. I don't know how big they are, but they let them go. And of course, one of the craziest things on earth is that they won't let you keep there's a strict limit on the size of the muskellunge. And it's got to be 40 inches.
Exactly.
Or you've got to put it back. Well, if it's over 40 inches, chances are 99% it's a female, the breeder. So the little ones are the males. They never hit 40. So who cares if you throw a few males back? They've got millions of males, and it's the breeders you want to keep. So again, the DEC has screwed up.
Well, not only that, Reed, the people that in New York State charged $100 for big game hunting and fishing license.
Really?
That's what they did a couple of years ago, I thought.
No kidding.
That'd be an out-of-state license, or?
I'm not sure, but
My big game hunting fishing license is right around $70.
well, still, that's way too much.
That's a big bunch. It is.
Yeah, there's
Special-
nowhere near $100, and
Of
I
course,
do.
this year they didn't tax cigarettes or beer either, so they're picking on everybody else now.
Well, that's the way it is. And of course, again, this money's all supposed to go towards conservation and helping out the hunters and the fishermen.
Yeah, and the lottery's supposed to go for schools.
Children,
Does that
right?
happen?
Don't let them kid you. They're just send it down to New York City for welfare.
We can go on and on with that issue.
Have a good day.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
well,
Thank
thanks
you.
for the call. Send me a stamped self-addressed envelope. I'll send you $5 off at the Lakeview, that lovely little restaurant down at the foot of the hill here in Mayville, New York. It's a double restaurant, actually. The other side is a fish restaurant, strictly fish, while we're talking about fish.
Oh, yeah.
And they serve trout.
I've had their fish. It's
They have
excellent.
when they have a fried fish dinner, it flops over all over your
Exactly.
plate.
Flopping stuff.
It's a huge piece of fish. It's delicious.
Yes.
And my wife and I used to go over there, and we'd split it. And I just get the salad.
I think you have to.
She
We
gets
do
the
the
salad
same
with
thing.
hers, because
Yeah.
it's a huge dinner. It's wonderful. Lakeview, down at the foot of the hill. Okay, and don't forget their prime rib on the weekend. Okay, that's for you guys on the foot of the hill. Another phone call or two. You want to take one?
Sure.
Okay,
please.
we'll jump right in. Hello, caller.
Well, good morning,
Good morning.
Art and Barry and Reed. This is Linda Spalding.
Well, hi, Linda Spalding.
Hi, Linda.
This is a very fascinating show.
Well, you're being a avid fisher lady, and she always gets her muskie every year.
Oh,
of
does
course.
she?
Yeah,
Good
yeah.
for her.
I caught my first fish, a black bass, in Lake Erie, I think when I was around 5 years old, with my grandfather.
Well, I'll tell you, I've caught a lot myself out there, and when the silver bass are running, there is an action game. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah, we always had delicious fish. It was always fresh.
Well, if you get it fresh out of the water, you can't go wrong.
No, my grandfather was a great fisherman.
Well, he knew better than to buy fish at the market, which smells fishy. Once it smells fishy, it's too old to eat.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, it should have no odor at all. Then it's
No.
perfect.
No, that's right. Fresh. Yeah, you can soak it in milk, though, to take that fishy taste out.
Buttermilk works wonderfully, too. I use
Yeah.
buttermilk. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Well, I have a question. How long does it take to be an expert fly fisherman? I know that's quite involved throwing that line out.
Depends on how dumb you are, Linda.
Well, I guess it depends on the degree of expert you want to be. I think you can become a fly fisherman pretty quick. You have to, I would suggest it's like learning golf. You should go to somebody that knows how to do it and take a lesson. And we could help you out with that, even through our Kids on the Fly fishing group. Even though Country Kids on the Fly says kids, we do encourage adults to come, because usually they'll bring their son or grandson or granddaughter, which, we aim for children, but we don't discourage any adults from coming along. And we actually have fly rods that they can use, so we, help them learn. And it's like anything, you got to practice the fly. You shouldn't be intimidated by fly fishing. The casting, people see that on TV or whatever and say, oh my gosh. And I think I've sort of felt that way for a few years until I got into it. And with a little instruction, and I don't want to be prejudiced here, but I think women learn a lot quicker because, I don't know, for some reason they have it's a little bit of a rhythm thing, and they pay attention more than most men. So so I don't think you'd have any trouble. I'd give you, within a few weeks, I think you could, with a little practice in your lawn, you could cast a fly, and then just a matter of learning the techniques in the stream. There's a lot of different types of casts that you have to learn, different situations in the stream. So
Yeah, so you could learn fairly fast.
oh yeah, I think real quick.
Barry, there's a bit of a confidence thing too, what that you build in yourself, and this is where youngsters have the big advantage, because they're going to understand what they're doing and feel confident in what they're doing when they develop a technique that works for them. And
Especially when they catch their first fish.
Yes, yes.
First trout.
Yeah, so I think it's a confidence builder too, and you got to.
There you go. Well, what's new over at the Office of the Aging, Linda?
Well, we have some positions open with the senior aid program, a few of them. Of course, we have a very long waiting list because of our severe budget cuts that we had a couple of years ago.
And yesterday. Today.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's not going to affect the programs until after June 30th, because we have agreements. But after that, there may be some things that will change. But people should contact their representatives. Seniors need services just like everybody else.
Tom Reed.
Yes. Tom
Okay.
Reed, and then our senators, Gillibrand and Chuck Schumer.
Okay, well, that's a good point. Did you think that the so-called, sequester would go into effect?
I don't know what to think. I think this whole thing really ought to get settled quickly. We don't need to be sitting on a cliff.
Right, especially in terms of jobs in this day and age when so many people are out of a job and they want to cut this to the unemployment funds. Oh, brother.
Yeah. And, we need to, it's the old work ethic. A full day's work for a full day's pay. That goes for everybody.
Yeah.
In Congress, too.
Yeah. And the full day is not pay is not really much anymore because it's been so inflated
Yeah.
Well, they tried to give them a little hike in the, and it would only go in a little at a time. Most people don't realize that. It wasn't sudden in the minimum wage.
People are being encouraged to contact their representatives about this whole thing.
I hope they do.
Yeah.
Because it's horrendous.
Yeah.
Imagine people working all day long and getting $40, something like that.
Yeah. Well, you know, people are working full time. We've got households working, mother, father, sometimes kids, and it's difficult to make ends meet.
Yeah, I have a friend who said, you know, there are a lot of jobs around. I said, yeah, I know, I've got 3 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sadly, huh?
Well, thank you, Linda, for your input. And I hope you catch your trout this spring. April 1st, you can get out, step into the creek, or probably in the lake. There's some trout out there, not many though, right?
No, not worth chasing.
Not worth chasing. You
Yes.
got to go to the creeks.
Yes.
And
There's a lot of perch, I understand, in Lake Chautauqua.
Yes.
yeah, and perch are just as delicious as any fish you can.
Yeah, that's my favorite.
Yeah.
To me, it's my favorite too.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you.
Easy to
both.
clean, and
Yeah.
they taste great.
They're
Yeah.
Oh,
sweet
they're
as could
so
be.
delicious, so
Yep.
sweet. Well, have a great week.
Well, thank you, Linda, and you
Thank
too.
you for
And
the
call
call.
in again.
Well, Linda, come and join us some Monday evening if you have time.
Oh, I will. I will try to do
you probably
that.
have a
That
lot of
sounds
fun.
great.
Bring your camera.
Thank you for the invitation.
You're welcome.
Well, it's great. I'll tell you something. I think that a hobby like this is just so rewarding because you not only have the joy of creating the fly, but using it and catching a trout and eating the trout.
And getting to eat, take it home and eat it, yes.
Yeah. Okay, we've been talking here with our friends, and it looks like we're running out of time, guys. I've got another thing I wanted to bring up. I think they're telling me I'm out of luck.
So well.
But yes, oh well. Okay. So at any rate, please tell me, Art. Let me let you conclude. I'll give you a half a minute just to conclude because I just got this signal in my little thing I use. We're out of here.
We're out of here. Well, there's no free meals here, but it's rewarding just to be here in front of you people. There's, just come and visit us somehow.
Again, where do you meet? Where is it?
We're meeting at the library in Sinclairville on Monday evenings from 6 until 8 o'clock.
Okay.
So the youngsters can still get home in time to get to bed and get a good night's sleep.
So will the adults. Okay. Thank you. You're running out of time.
Yeah.
You got your 10. You have 30 seconds too.
Great. Somehow get a hold of us. You can get a hold of us through Country Kids on the Fly, the website. Get a hold of Art. If somebody wants to learn how to cast a fly or talk about equipment or anything else, we'll be very accommodating.
Give me a phone number.
Well, you can call me 716-397-9855.
9855. 397.
397-9855.
There you go. If you want to get that, Art, you got a number?
Yeah, well, if you go to their website, Country Kid.
No, your phone number.
My phone number and
okay, thank you.
is on there.
All right. You won't give the phone number out over the air, huh?
Use discretion. 485-3919.
There you go. Thank you, Art. He's been tying flies all during the program, and I appreciate you coming in and showing us your skill and sharing with us. We'll come back some other time soon because I want to see you in the fall, maybe.
Bring
That's
photographs.
A different type. Bring photos. Chuck Kelsey, what a champion! I want to thank him for setting this up. Devin Taylor, Chris Burt, Randy Burt, Chris Remiker, Jeff Zook, Don Zenz, and last but not least, John Doc Hamels. May all that is proud and true and noble abide with you. I'm Reed Powers.